Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am just making sure that, okay, I'm going to turn off this. Last week, my camera settings were off, and so I thought I would pull this up so that I can see how the camera's going, just so that I have the project set up so that you can see it. So anyway, if you are here, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're on replay later, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If it's your first time here, my name is Michelle Adamas, and I'm the owner of Vintage Revival Design Co. in Northern Virginia. And hello, Shannon. Thank you so much for being here. Today is going to be, we're going to break in my Apothecary stencil. And I've been playing with a new to me product, which is glass plaster. And so I'm going to show you how to mix that. And we're going to do what I think is going to be a fun project. I'm experimenting and learning, and so we'll learn together. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my project and make sure I'm going to add this. And then let's see if I get it right this time. There we go. I want to make sure that on my end that it's working. Okay, so for me, it's showing that the project is front and center, and that that I'm this little bit over here. So I think we're going to be good. All right, let me show you what we're going to be working with today. We're going to be taking, this is a double glass frame, and I had some of these left over from a stained glass, a faux stained glass class. And so this is it's a little case like that. It has a little chain up here. You could take the chain off and set it on an easel. I think they're really pretty. We're going to be working with a cup. I don't know which transfer I'm going to use yet, but these are IOD transfers that are left over from the, oh my goodness. I'm going to have to remember the name of this one. But so we're going to be using that. We're going to break in my Apothecary stencil. This actually comes in one big sheet, but I've separated it a little bit just for ease of use. We're going to be working with a product called Glass Plaster. This is by Posh Chalk. And as we go along, I've given a link to these products in the description of the event. We're also going to be working with some of their color kicks. So this works, it is water soluble, so you can use it to stain or to color the glass plaster. And you can also use this for, you could mix it with a little bit of water. You can color a lot of things, and a little goes a long way. And I'm going to show you because we're talking like a drop. So that's going to be great. And then I have something else in mind if we get there and I think it needs something. So let's do that. I apologize for the light glare, but I kind of need the lights. So I'm going to let me know if that's too distracting or you can't see. I probably could have done it a little bit higher, but I'm going to have a little bit of a glare here. So I'm going to try to work away from that. I'll try to work over here in the center. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to open this. And the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to clean this with a lint-free cloth. This is just a piece of t-shirt. And I'm going to use a little rubbing alcohol because we're going to apply the transfer. And I want to make sure that this is clean. So I'll clean the inside here. And so I'm going to be working on the inside so that when I close this, it's completely protected. I won't need to worry about a sealer or any prints or anything like that on it. And I think that is going to be helpful. To measure out my placement, I have taken a piece of, this is by Iron Orchid Designs. This is a thin mount, and it happens to have a grid on it. And I love these for so many things. But for this, what you can see is that when I lay it underneath, it can help me find when I line it up really well. I'm going to see if I can bring this down a little bit. It will help me just to get kind of like find my center and position my design where I want it. So I'm using this basically as my ruler and my guide. The first thing that I want to do actually before I stencil is I want to position my transfer. And so I'm going to put my transfer in place first. So I'm going to place my cloche stencil. I want to use the cloche. And then I'm going to lay the grid line over that and kind of center that. So I can use this line up at the top and center it with the top of the cloche. And then I'm going to lay my glass on top of this, and I'm going to place. So this is really about center. So you can see what I'm doing. I have about 2 grids here and about 2, I'm going to go here. So I am just playing with this to help me find the center. I find these to be super, super helpful. And I need to come this way just a little bit with my glass, okay? And so now what I want to do is, now that I have this in position, I can choose a flower. And I couldn't decide if I was going to use this really little dainty piece here or if I was going to use something like this. And so I think I'm going to I'm going to just get some scissors and cut a little bit. I think I'm going to go with this design over here, and I may use the butterfly too. But I thought I would start with this and see. Now I can kind of come under. I could even go under here and see where I'm going to need. Oops, I just missed that. So I want to keep that in center here and make sure it's not crooked. But I think I'm going to be able to play with that a little bit. So this is how I'm going to line it up. But to help me, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start this over. And I'm going to use this to line up my cloche. All right. So I'm going to just kind of center this a little bit. And then I'm just going to use a marker. I have one here. I'm going to just use a little marker and just outline here. And this will help to make sure that I am getting my cloche lined up. I definitely need my glasses for this one. Okay, so this is just going to help me make sure I get my cloche lined up. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to have this be a base. Well, yeah, I think I will. I can always add something if I want, but I think I'm going to go here and make this a little darker down here. So I want to go here, but really where I'm going to cut is along these lines here. Okay. So I'm going to just take this and cut this out right along these lines here. Just like this. And this really helps me to get my shape so that it'll fit really nicely in the cloche. Okay, and I'm coming here and I'm just going to go right about here. Okay, so now this is going to fit nicely into my cloche. So let's go ahead and line this up again, and then we will apply the stencil. The reason I'm applying the transfer first is because I want it to appear to be under glass. And so that's how that's how my brain is thinking about this. So once again, I'm going to line this up. And then I'm going to place my glass, trying not to touch here. I've got about 2 grids. I want to come over, make sure it's about even. I think might be a little crooked. I'm sure I didn't do a completely straight cut on this, but I think that's about good. So the cloche is underneath my glass, so I can actually lay this using my cloche as a guide. I can actually lay this just about like that. Okay. And so that's going to fit when I go to stencil on top of it. That's going to fit. So I need a transfer stick. And I'm just going to carefully, it usually applies very easily to glass, but I want to be careful not to break this either. So I'm going to get this transferred. So by using the glass plaster, it should make this appear that it's under glass. At least this is my thinking. Again, I'm experimenting with these, and this is just the way my brain is working with it. My table is shifting. I can put a little pressure on here, but I don't want to. Let's see if I can help pull it up a little bit. There we go. It helps sometimes just to lift up a little bit of the grid when you're transferring this. Okay, I got a little bit of transfer right there. I'm going to pick it up off the glass, just scrape that up. Okay, and so now our transfer is in place, and I'm just going to burnish that. Okay, and now what I want to do is I can stencil my cloche onto this. I'm going to use this grid again just until I get that in the center. I think we should just use the tools that are helpful to us, right? So I think I got that about right. We'll see when I lay my cloche on top. All right, I'm going to line this up with where I cut, and I'm using my eyeballs. It's not quite, I've got to turn it a little bit. So just using this grid as my little tool to keep it straight. And I hope I did, I hope I did, I hope I did. I think it's a little off there. So this will be the trickiest part. And then once this is done, it's good to go. So I can always clean this other glass again too. I've got this coming right about here, I think is where I wanted this. So I'm just going to line this up. All right, this is in place, and I probably should have shown you this earlier. Let's go ahead and get this stenciled, and then I will show you how we mix up the glass plaster. So I've already mixed up some of the glass plaster with the color kick in, it is Agean Sea or Agean Ocean. So it comes in a little bottle like this. And I'm going to show you how I mix this up, but we're going to go ahead and I don't know if I want to use that one or if I think I'm going to go ahead and use the one that I mixed up. This is a little darker just for the outside edge. I'll use this. I'm trying to decide. Actually, I think this one will work. Let's just use this one. Okay. And I'm going to outline with a brush. I'm going to stencil. I'm going to use a paintbrush to stencil this in place to apply this. So I'm going to use a brush. I'm just trying to find a little artist brush that's maybe a little stiff, but is going to go into my stencil pretty easily. So let's see what I've got. Sorry that that's taking a little bit of time. Let's see, what have I got? What have I got? What have I got? Let's try this one. So I'm going to take my brush and go right in. I'm holding this with my hand. I didn't want to put anything sticky on my glass. So I'm going to just brush this in place. I might have to do a heavy bit here. I'm going to stipple. I'm kind of doing a pouncing motion here. I just needed to get my brush loaded well. And I'm going to do the outside. And then I might do a darker color in the areas, but I think right now I just want to do the outside lines of this. It's going to be subtle color. Let me know if you have questions as we go along. I think I'm not seeing comments. Give me 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, Shannon. Hide. Okay. I thought it was somebody that was trying to do a comment that I couldn't see, but it was just giving me the opportunity to put you on screen, and I won't put you on the spot like that. Okay, so I'm going to just use this, holding it really tight in place. It might have been a good idea to, let me tamp that in. I might have wanted to go with the darker, but we're going to see, because I can always add to this if I need to. Okay. All right, so I love the small size of these stencils. It's nice because with the ones that we have currently, the size of them would not allow me to work in a piece this small. So I'm really enjoying the smaller size of the stencils. So I'm just painting. I'm being careful. For once, it doesn't really matter too much if I get a little bleed through. So I'm just kind of doing a tamping and a brushing, and then I am going to do the details down here. I'm going to brush some on and then go back. I want to work away from any delicate pieces. So there's like a little delicate piece right down here. So I want to go in the direction of that little piece so I don't pull it back and cause it to, you know, I don't want to damage my stencil. So I just did some transparent color on this. And the darker color might have been a better option, but let's go. So this is just really, really, I also only added like 1 drop of the color kick. So it's very transparent. I've been playing with some faux glass pumpkins. You guys know how I love my diamond glaze. So let me talk to you about the difference. So this is definitely a much thicker medium. This is not something I could put in a squeeze bottle like I do the diamond glaze. So that's something to consider. I think it depends on what you're working on, excuse me. And so that's, I just love an underglass effect. Okay, we're almost done, guys. And then I'm going to want to take a baby wipe. All right, let me lift this up a little bit and see how we're doing. I think we're pretty good, enough that I can get this and then I can stamp right over this. So I want to wipe this up really quick, and I can always go over this. I'll show you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to paint right over it. So let me get these transfers out since I'm not using those right now. And I just want to clean up my stencil so I don't ruin it. So this dries pretty quickly, but I have a heat gun in case we need it. And I've got some on that. That paper towel is down really just to help with the glare of the lights. And so I can set this aside right there. Okay. And so now we've got our outline for this, and I'm going to go ahead and paint in right over this. And this will give it, the entire transfer will look like it's underglass, and we'll add a little bit of detail to this. So it's going on very transparent. I'm going to paint this in, and then I'm going to show you how to mix up the glass plaster with the color kicks. So I'm painting right over it in this lighter color, and I can always add some of the darker color, which I probably will. And we're going to get kind of like a little bit of like a bubble glass effect, which I think is really nice. I love bubble glass. Now that I'm within my lines, I can be a little more I'll add some blue. I'm just going to kind of come in here and I'll use a toothpick or something to add in some details, but I'm going to get this first part dry. We can do multiple coats. I'll go a little bit darker over here on this side, adding more. Have you played with the stencils? Let me know. I would love to know. It's already starting to dry, which I think is really lovely. And then I can play with the color. So I'm going to, it's going to give those hints of blue. I'm going to fill in those lines. And then when this is dry, I can come in with the darker color and add more to this. So for now, I'm going to remove that grid because we don't need that right now. And we're going to let this dry. I'm going to take this glass plaster off of my brush so I don't ruin it. So one of the things that I did was I pre-mixed colors and I used these little they're condiment containers that you can get. And so by doing this, this means that this is going to stay and I can continue to use it. So if I had just done it on a palette type situation, it could have just dried out and then it wouldn't be usable anymore. So I decided that I didn't want to waste it. And so I mixed it up. But let me show you how to mix this up while we let this dry just a little bit. So I'm getting a container and I have my glass plaster, and this is how I do it. I'm going to use a transfer stick because I have a million of them and I never throw them out because they're great for mixing. And I also have a little bit of a popsicle stick. I want to go ahead and mix a color that I have not mixed yet. And so let's make an orange because I'll be able to show you how we can create other colors. This is Garnet Flare Color Kicks. And then this is the Rich Ochre Color Kick. And the first thing I'm going to do is to scoop a little bit into my container, just like this. Scrape it off a little bit. I don't need a ton. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to put just a drop. I'll see, I can play with it. So I'm going to put a drop. That went in. So there's that. And then I'm just going to do, it is so pigmented. So I'm going to just do a little drop. I'm touching the gel so that it releases. Okay, so let's start with that. That's the tiniest bit of color kicks. And so I like to start this way. And then with my little stick, you want something that you really could throw away if you needed to. So this is still a little too red. So now I will add another drop of yellow ochre. Tiny, tiny bit. That wasn't even a full drop. There we go. There's a full drop. And we'll just continue to mix this. So I'm going to use my popsicle stick. So instead of being a bright red, I can make this orange, and I'm going to add even a little more yellow to this. So I just add one drop at a time until I'm happy with it. It's super thick. It's definitely a gel, a very thick, heavy gel. You can add another little bit of yellow. Let's just go ahead and do 2 drops. Okay, of that. And then if I even wanted to lighten this up, I can even add a little white and I can get a little bit of a coral color. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. So let's add just a little bit of Arctic white. I don't think I've even used this one yet. And we'll get a little bit of, or I can add a little bit of the black, which is Ebony Noir. But now I can mix in this white and I get a much lighter color. So we've just, so you can mix the colors if you have the primary colors, like, you know, the yellow and the blue and the red, then you can make all kinds of colors. So this is how you mix it. And then I just scrape that off and I get rid of this and put my lid on. And now it's ready for me to use. So that's how you mix it. I'm going to, excuse me, one second. Okay, I'm going to just, with my finger here, see it's a little tacky. And I want to make sure I get my lid back on my case so that doesn't dry out. And you can see it just takes a very little bit. So I'm going to take my heat gun, my heat tool, and just kind of go over this and see if I can't get it a little drier more quickly before we start adding more to this. Any questions so far? All right. And I don't want to heat up my transfer too much and have it lift. Okay, let's see if we're getting dry enough. Okay, so I think I can work. Let's try to add, again, I'm experimenting, but I have this darker blue. This is the Indigo. And I'm just going to kind of come in and drop in. It might not work because this is not dry yet, but I can add some of this Indigo to this and just create some little details here. Just kind of painting along those lines. And this is the deeper color. Kind of giving some shadow to this. Okay. Now, another thing that you can do is stipple this on. And we can do that too if I have a stencil brush here. So I'm just going, now I'll smooth them out a little bit. So I've seen a lot of projects where they're coloring glass, but I thought it would be a fun thing to do to try to, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger and we're going to be a little bit darker. In here, I'm going to mix a little bit more. Whoops, can take my fingernail here and pick that up. Okay, and I'm going to make it a little bit darker on the sides. I love to do faux stained glass, and I thought this is a neat product to try with that because it is so transparent. So what I'm doing here is I'm just bringing in just some blue in from the edges, some of this darker blue in from the edges. And I can even do this like with a toothpick or something like that, but we're going to just go over this with this darker blue. And I'll get a mix of the two. And then what I want to do is stipple around the edges of this so it doesn't seem too much. I could add flowers at the bottom if I wanted to. So I'm coming in with this darker color and I'm getting some of the light and some of the dark so it doesn't look all one color, which I think is nice with glass. You guys are so quiet. So I'm just painting this in. And I'll show you what I mean about stippling. To give it more of a frosted type look. So I do love how this go really dark up here. I do love how this has the transfer looking like it is under the glass. It is under the glass plaster, so there you go. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to paint this in, and then I'm going to use a dauber, and we're going to texture up the glass a little bit. Going over there. This is where there's a little more light. Okay. Okay, now I can leave it just kind of clear like that, but I think I can frost this up a little bit. So let me just get this on here. And then if I wanted even more glass over my transfer, then what I will do is when this is dry, I'll go over this with just clear plaster so that we don't lose the transfer altogether. Okay. So now let me just clean off this brush. And then what I think I want to do I have a tiny, tiny, tiny little, I do have a little brush. So to stipple it, this is what I mean. I hope I don't ruin this, but I'm just going to go over with my stencil brush. And I'm creating texture in the glass plaster so that it's like a textured glass effect. The other thing I was able to do is to mix the glass plaster into my Posh Chalk pigment, the Byzantine gold that looks like the gold leaf. And so that actually mixed beautifully too. I've got to see how that looks like. And I actually like to try that. So we're going to get this going and then we're going to do something. So I just want this to be kind of like, you know, bubbled wavy glass. And so to do that, I just need to create a little texture in the glass. And I like that very much. So I'm going to hold this against something white for you so that you can see. In fact, we'll put it under a piece of white paper. So what I'm getting is this really textured effect underneath this. But I think the background, it looks like right now that it's just floating, right? So let me get a piece of white paper and we'll put it under that so that you can see a little bit better what we're working with. Okay. Now, one of the things that I thought to do was to do a little design, and I'm not sure if I can do that or not. So I'm going to put my grid under here and we're going to line this up here. And I want to see if I could get a rectangle over this, if this would actually work or not. I thought maybe I could do there's like two there. I thought maybe I could do something just along the edges, even though it would be a little close. I think we're going to do that. So I'm going to move this right over here to the side. And this is the thing that I wanted to do. So I wanted to create some like a stained glass leading. And it's obviously not the color that I need. So I'm going to use the Posh Chalk pigments in the Byzantine gold. I think that that'll work because that's really the only one I have. I keep waiting for the pale gold to come back in stock, but you can see that. Let me see if I can find the gold. So this is mixed with the glass plaster. And now I'm going to mix some up with my Pigment Infuser. And that is going to help me to color my leading. Okay. So I'm going to just put a little bit in here. I need another little popsicle stick. So to make your pigment like a paint, you're going to put a little bit of the pigments. It doesn't take much. I'm going to just do a little bit like that. Okay. This jar has lasted me many, many, many projects. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'll just keep that stick to stir. And I need Pigment Infuser. So Pigment Infuser is what activates this, and it is just in a liquid and you mix it. So I'm going to add some Pigment Infuser. I'm going to try to go a little bit like that, and then I'm going to stir it. This is the stuff that looks like gold leaf when it's all mixed in. Okay. So here we are. I'm going to add just a little bit more so that it mixes, grabs all the pigment and gets it mixed up. And I thought we could do the frame this way. So I have a little pigment powder on here. It is very, very fine. All right. So I want to take, let's see what I've got. I'm going to need about, I'm just going to cut some longer than I need. And I'm going to need 4, but we'll see what I've got to work with. Okay. Let me get another little length on there. So I have 4 to work with. I use this stuff. So I'm not really too concerned about having too much of the gold. So I'm just going to set these here. And then to change the color, what I'm going to do, I'm working on a little Teflon sheet. I'm going to take a sponge dauber, a finger sponge dauber, and I want to change the color of this lead. So I'm just going to, with a sponge dauber, just dabble that on. And change the color of it. I don't know why they don't make these things in the color that I want. But I am so grateful to know that there is a way to get the color that I want. And that, I think, is the fun thing about exploring with product, is that you can find all the different ways that it can work. I don't even mind if it's a little dabby there. Okay, so this one is going to dry. And now let's do this one. I'll try to go from the top so you can see. So this is an easy way to change the color of things. I use this for a lot of different things and love it. The Pigment Infuser also works as a decoupage medium, and I'm thinking that that's one of the reasons it has such good adhesion when you mix it with the pigments, is because it has the adhesive in it. So I think that's a really cool thing. I personally don't love it as a sealer because it can be a little sticky. I may have to practice with that. but I do love it for this kind of thing. Okay, I need to let that dry. And then if I need a little more, then we can do that. Okay, so let's see. Did I get good coverage? I got okay coverage on that one, but let's let it dry and then we can add some more. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this down and let's just run this over real quick. It'll dry pretty quickly. And then I can do a second coat on this. We're going a long time, guys. I'm so sorry. Let's see if we can speed things up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to hold this down and just do this second coat so I get good coverage. Okay. Some of you were with me when I did the faux stained glass and the decoupage paper and the stamping, and was trying to squeeze it all out of this tiny little bottle. And just, I mean, you know, talk about experimenting. But we don't know unless we try, right? What works. And then you find, you know, we problem solve and we find a better way. So, okay, I'm going to dry this up a little bit and then we're going to do something here. Okay. Maybe we'll make it more of a, maybe we'll matte it with white, or maybe we will, I don't know. Let's see what we think. Okay. I was thinking of maybe creating a matte, but I don't know what we'll do. Let's see. Okay. So let me go ahead and dry this up. I can always touch it up again with a little brush if I need to. Put the lid on that. Go ahead and do this one too. It's pretty good. Do this one just a little bit more too. I can always touch it up with a brush. So I am going to need an X-Acto knife for this. All right, let's line up. Let's get this lined up again, okay? So we're going to find the center. And we were about 2 and 2, about there. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. So I want to go about 1 and 1 around. I'm just going to do a small border, and I want to see if I can get this. I just want to make sure that I have it even, because it'll definitely show if it's wonky and not straight. Okay. All right. So this is where I want to lay my lines. I'm going to peel this, and I want to go here. Now I'm going to go a little bit over and stand up and see if I can get that straight. I'm going to go a little bit over so that then I can trim it. And I'll use my X-Acto knife. Okay. And then we're going to lay this one. And again, I'm going to use my grid lines to help me line this up. I hope it's straight, you guys. It's hard to see from up above. Okay, I'm going to line that up. And then we'll do our trimming. So let's get this other one lined up. I don't think it's completely in the center, but I think I'm okay with that. All right, we're going to put that in place and here, and I'm going to cut it right down here. Okay, is this going to be long enough? Nope. So I'll use that for something else. Okay. Let's get this last one down, trim that a little bit. Still a little bit more. I'm going to lay this down. Like this. Okay. Now, much like stained glass, if it was true stained glass, it has a little bit of a soldering. So I'm going to kind of push that down in place here so that it looks like it's kind of folded over. And I can cut this away. Now, if I want to miter this, I put this here. And then I can push I just work with those edges and get those together just like this. So I'm going to, this has a little bit of stretch to it. So I can kind of play with that. So I want to get that little piece out just like this. And I'm going to push these together just like that. Okay. Let me just get these little bits. Okay. And now we're going to do this. And what I thought is we'd just do something really simple, like something in the center here and up there. And we would just keep it kind of simple, but we're almost done with this. Oh, thank you, Shannon. I'm so glad. I am so sorry about the light. I'm going to see, let me know if you can see. Can you still see if I move that light? Let me know. If not, then I will move it back, but I wanted to give it a shot because that glare is not fun. So I'm going to trim. I'm going to go this way and turn it this way. And let's go here. I want to do an inner corner. Sometimes I have to see it just the way it's going to go. Okay. Pick that up and then push those. I've got one little piece right here. And then I can push these together. Just like that. We'll miter these. I'm going to move this grid for right now. And we'll put it back in. So if you can still see, oh good, I'm glad you can see. And thank you, Shannon. I don't need it. I'm okay. I just worried that you wouldn't be able to see. Okay, so we're mitering these. And then I need to lift that up and take out that little piece right there. Let's see if I can get that to stick there. And then let's push these back together. And stained glass isn't perfect. We've got one more. Okay. And then I'm going to lift this up and take out this tiny bit that's underneath. And then they lay flat. Okay. So now we've got our corners mitered. That's the hardest part. Okay. But now I don't know if I want to do a gold glass or if I want to add a little bit of separation here. I think that I'll just do some simple separation here. So I'm going to get out my grid again. Bear with me because I want to, so I'm going to line everything up on the lines, and then that way I know I get it in the right place. So I'm going to kind of go with the, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can kind of come in the middle of this, one. Ooh, I just lost it again. 3, 6. I'll just go right on that line. And I'm not going to really solder it. I'm just going to cut it right there. All right. So we're going to cut right there. Okay. And I can stretch this a little bit. It'll be okay. All right. I like the separation on that. And so now I'm going to line this up. It does need to be a little straighter. You've got a little bit of playing time with this when you're working with it. So I'm going to come here, and then let's use this as our edge. Okay. And so I think I figured out what I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and use this little piece, and we'll go in the center. Down here. Okay. We're doing so good. I don't want to jinx it by saying, you know what, so I'll wait till I'm done with this last little piece, okay? Let's do this last little piece. And I want to line this up. Okay. And then we're going to, this is it. Okay. So I've got these 4 pieces. I could do something on the corners, but we're not going to do that. Okay. We're going to go ahead and do this. So I have it like this, and I was thinking I could do the white, or I could do the gold around that, just the gold glass, and then kind of frost this in. But I think we're just going to leave this clear. We'll see. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how I want to do this, but the best way to figure it out is just to get started. So let me clean up just a little bit. I could also just do a different color around those areas. That could be really pretty. I'm not sure. I think I want to frost around the other piece, or just do kind of a wavy glass. I'm just trying to get some of this sticky stuff off. Okay. And let me just clean up a little bit here, because we've gotten this far and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm going to just get this off of that. And we're going to put the lid on this. All right, let's see. Let's do a little clear, I think. Let's do a little frosted, and then we'll figure out something else for this. I'm going to get this ugly little bit down, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to use a little bit of this clear plaster. Let me see. I'm sure I have another container somewhere. I keep them in a little bag. Hold on. I don't want to dip my plaster. I don't want to dip my brush into my plaster container. So I just want to transfer some into another little condiment container. All right, let's get another. Oh, I could also just use this. Let's try this silicone thing and see if I can get some in there. That might be a little bit easier than my transfer stick. I don't mind having a little bit in this container. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a frosted a frosted glass around those edges. And so we're going to do the same kind of thing. It'll be difficult for you to see until I share it with you tomorrow, unless I take this off. Let's see if I take this away, if that doesn't help you see. Well, let's give it a shot and see if I can make this visible to you. So I have this blue plaster in here. I'm not sure if I can get some off with alcohol or not. Let's see. I should have cleaned that right away and I didn't. If I get a little bit of blue, I think that's okay. We could do the darker. I'm just really, I don't know. If I don't like it, I can always go over it, right? All right, so I think I've got my stencil brush clean enough. So I just used a little rubbing alcohol. Now I'm gonna scrub that off. All right, this is what I thought I would do, is I would just kind of come in here and just do a little bit of a frosted glass technique. And to do that, I'm just stippling the clear onto this, and it's going to give it a little bit, you won't be able to see as clearly with this. To clean off my frame, I will use a little bit of the, I could have done like a yellow. I'm kind of regretting not doing a color, but I may come back after I look at it and add a different color. Maybe it would be nice to pick up some of the green. What do you think of that? Maybe some of the green. Let's add some color. I mixed up a green. So let me give it a good stir. And let's add the green. Let's just add some color. All right. I made the green by mixing the yellow ochre and the, let's see if we like this better. I can always pick it up. I'm going to need to go straight over here because it's just a little bit of that green, I think, is going to be pretty with it. So I mixed a little of the Agean sea with the yellow ochre to make the green. They do make a pine green, and I thought I had some, but I could not find it. So that's where I'm at. So I'm basically coming in here and tapping in this green. I'll use a Q-tip and some alcohol to clean up my frame. I don't want globs. I just want to stipple this in. Oh, you know what I could do? Blue, green, yellow. All right, we're going to do two different colors of, I think we'll do yellow ochre and this green. I should have done the blue just to give it a little bit of a, so I'm going to do this one up here. And then I'm going to do the other corners in a different color. Could do the pink because it, I might just do a little pink to bring out the flowers. I think that's a good idea. We might do that. So we're getting a little green. We've got a lot of blue. You were just thinking that? That's awesome. Thank you. See, our creative minds are thinking alike today. All right, I'm going to stipple this, and I may need another coat. I can go in with a tiny brush and add more. But when you stipple it, it's just giving it kind of a frosted appearance. So I'm going to go in, we're going to make up a little pink. Okay. And then let me just wipe this up off my frame. Put that back in. All right, I'm just going to use a baby wipe since it's not dry. Oops, and I messed up my little thing there. Okay. I do like the separation around the edge. So just even putting those tiny little pieces was a good idea. So this dries pretty quickly. And I'm just kind of cleaning up anywhere where I might have that. I can touch up over there, but I don't want this to be all gunky. Okay, oops, I just messed that up. All right, let's do that. All right, let's clean this off. And then we're going to mix up a pink. We'll go ahead and put that color on, and we'll probably stop right there. But I think I'll be able to hold it up so you can see it. And then I'm probably going to paint more of the white or the clear over the cloche. We'll do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and make up some pink. And to do that, I'm going to use the Garnet color kick. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to mix it up in this clear. And then I can add some more clear to the other ones. So let's mix up a little bit of Garnet. Yeah, Garnet Flare. See if it's really more of an orangey red. So I may have to add a little blue to it. And then let's make up a little of the white. I'm going to add quite a bit of the white. I did 3 drops of the white. Yeah, this is definitely more of an orangey red. So I do have Tomato by IOD, but another thing I could do, I'm just going to make this super light. So this is definitely more of an orangey red. So I'm definitely going to need to see if they have a true red or not. But I think this can work too. I might be able to make this work. So let's get this one going. We'll do it's kind of a peachy color. And then I may mix up some of the glass plaster with some IOD and come in with that. I would use the Tomato and mixing white. Are you hanging in there with me? Okay. So definitely more of a peachy. So I'll mix up some Tomato. I think it's across the room. So, but at least you'll get the technique. And actually this might be okay when it's dry. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it won't need it. Maybe it will. I'm going to come here, and this can be a little tricky. Okay, almost done with that. Start out with quite a bit and spread it out. I could have even used a much smaller stencil brush, actually. Would have been super helpful. I don't know. I think it actually might work, you guys. The coral color might work. I could even put like a little bit in there, like with the little paintbrush. So let me clean this up and this, and then we're just going to paint a little clear over our glass, and then we're going to be done. And I'll be sure to share this with you. So I am, let's see, let me just clean this up a little bit. Just trying to use my fingernail. Okay, so far, see, when you close it up like that, I think it's going to be cool. But what I want to do is just give this even a little more shimmer and shine. And so we are going to go ahead and use this. I will just use a brush over this as long as this is dry, which it is. I will use a brush over this, and let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and coat the whole thing in another coat, but this time it's clear. I feel it'll just give it even a little more shimmer and shine. I really enjoy this stuff. I've been having, I keep trying to figure out, okay, how else do I want to use this, right? And just experiment. So this time I'm just trying to go in long strokes. So all the texture was created with the blues. And now I'm just trying to go in the same direction. Thank you for being so understanding about my not getting a vote out. I honestly just was like, oh my goodness, I just don't know. I was looking at all the projects that I need to get done, and I was feeling kind of in a creative slump. And I know that the best way for me to get through that is just to play with something new and create. So thank you so much for the grace, and I really appreciate that. How do you get through a creative slump? What are your tips and tricks for that? It happens to everybody. Okay. So I've got that, and it's going to, I really love that it really does look like it's under glass. And there's just the slightest bit of color. So when this dries, it's a little milky when you use it just clear, but then it will dry completely clear. Okay. So I'm not sure what else I'm going to do. I am so glad you like it, Shannon. I'm so glad. I hope you'll give it a try. And these little frames are just, I can get them in bulk off of Amazon. All right, I'm not sure. I think there's enough of a barrier here that I won't get the color on. But this is what we've got so far. Okay, so it's just a simple little frame and some faux leading and all of that. And I will be sure to get a really good picture of this tomorrow and share it with you in a post. And yeah, so this is it. This was fun. This was a fun thing to do. I like how the glass looks a little textured. You can see it. It's hard to see there, but the glass does look a little textured, if you can see that. And so that's all from the, oh yeah, it does help to watch and be inspired by other people too sometimes, right? And so yeah, so this is our project, and I'm just looking for my mouse, and let's see. Okay, let me see if it's just me or if it's there we go. Okay, here I am. All right. Yes. Yes, I will. So in the description, I put the link to the Posh Chalk products, but you need a list of all the ones I use because I didn't even know that we were going to be using like the Pigment Infuser and all of that. So yes, I will do that in the post. And yeah, I would be happy to. Thank you for that suggestion. I would be happy to do that, Shannon. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me live and also on replay. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your grace and your kindness and your support wherever you are. I hope that you are well. I have no idea what we'll do next week. It may be something that I need to finish because we're doing the fall changeover next week in the store on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So anyway, I just, let me see, I think, oh, my picture frame. Do you guys want to see? So here, let me show you. All right, so there's my picture frame. Do you see that? It's hanging, but my camera is up there. But that's the picture frame. That's just an old picture frame. It's even missing some of the molding. And then this is the light that I did 2 of them. So there's one on the other side of the window, but this is the little battery operated sconce that I did in the video for YouTube. So that was, I think I posted it on Sunday. I'm not sure, but I love this because it has a little remote. So you can go like this and turn it on, and you can go 100% or you can go 50%. I really, really like it. And it's nice. You can go, so there's warm light, and then there's a different one, and then it switches the light. So I like the warm light. But anyway, thanks for that. And then the canvas, the one that I framed, was the one I did it over a year ago. I think I created that one around the time that the urn stencil came out. And we've already had, what, I don't know, there's been at least 2 other releases for that. And so for stencils, so it has to be a year or more. And gosh, I don't know, but yeah, so this was a bathroom fixture that was discarded. So that's what the candle part is. And then this is an old fence post, and we created a chippy finish because I wasn't about to sand that thing because I was sure it had lead paint in it. But I wanted all the chippy goodness that was in it. And so anyway, yeah, you remember, Shannon. Yeah. So anyway, it was a long time ago, and it had just been propping up there, and I had a frame, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's about time. So anyway, thank you for that. And but let's see, let me see. Oh, that's great, Teresa. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yes, this one is, I don't even think I told you what the size of it is. Here I was going to say goodbye, and then we get to chatting. I hope you guys are okay with that. But I think it's about a 5. I think it's a 5 by 7, a 5 by 7. I think, Teresa. But they come in so many sizes. Like you can get small ones, like for ornaments or tiny little pieces of artwork, or you can get larger ones, but this is a nice size to work with. I think it's got a lot of flexibility to it. So anyway, all right. I really won't keep you anymore. I've kept you for so long. So thanks for hanging in there with me, and thanks for the chat. It's kind of fun. So well, it's a lot of fun. I love that. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you next week, and just happy creating until we get together again. Okay. All right, everybody, take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.